Hey, my name is Max Jaeger. I'm from Germany. I'm a recording engineer and producer. I worked with Kanye West, Big Sean, Common, Ariana Grande. Today we're here to talk a little bit about microphone techniques. Recording drums is more fun than most people think. Most people think it's like this huge setup that involves complicated mic setups and routings, but I think we can simplify that and show you a couple of cool tricks how to get a great sound. The first thing I want to talk about today is the general setup of the drum recording. I chose to go with 4 overheads here. I do that for a very specific reason. Number one is whenever I use hi-hat microphones, they never do the job for me. They kind of feel isolated. And what my goal is as a recording engineer is to kind of like paint a picture and make the drums as live as possible. I picked 4 Shure KSM 44. They are large diaphragm condenser microphones. What large diaphragm condenser microphones do really well is they pick up a lot of overall characteristics of a sound. These have like a very big bottom and a very big top, and they'll allow us to catch the snare drum, the kick drum, the toms, the cymbals. The height of the microphones is about 3.5 to 4 feet. That gives us enough room for the drummer not to destroy one of these. So I want to make sure that I'm kind of like parallel to the cymbals. So tilting it in is a good idea, but you can also tilt it a little bit towards the drummer. So I'm gonna have Rico play the cymbals for us. One unusual thing that a lot of people don't do that is a little bit more experimental is this nice little drum tunnel here. We've been fortunate to have like 2 additional kick drum shells from Guitar Center. You don't actually need the shells to make the tunnel. You can use anything to build a little bit of a tunnel. So right here we have a Beta 52, which is a dynamic mic, right at the hole of the kick drum, facing towards the beat of the kick drum. That will give us the initial attack and a little bit of the low end, but the very deep low end of the kick drum, we're gonna actually capture 4 to 5 feet ahead of the kick drum. The reason why I put a microphone outside of this tunnel is because that low frequencies, since they have a longer wavelength, they just need more distance to translate. So in order for me to actually correctly pick up that low end of a kick drum, I actually need to make sure that I place my kick drum mic a little bit farther away if I want to capture the low frequencies. And for that I use a Mojave 301 FET. It's a condenser microphone that has a low frequency response from 20 Hertz to 20 kilohertz. And I'm facing it kind of like towards the center of the kick drum. And what I'm gonna do later is I'm gonna filter all the high end off. So all that I'm gonna be left with is the low end. And that's the kind of low end that I want to shake my subwoofer. All right, now that we covered the kick drum, let's take a look at the snare drum. On the top, we used the SM57. We kind of angled it towards the side of the head, slightly pointing towards the middle of the head. We're trying to actually get pretty close to the head to really capture that attack. And on the bottom, we are using a Neumann KM184, and that's a small diaphragm condenser. Having it faced towards the brushes of the snare drum, it will give us a very crispy top end sound that we can then later on slightly mix into the fat attack that we get from the SM57. So let's take a look at what we got set up here on the toms. We got 2 MD421s on the 2 rack mounts, and we got 1 RE20 on the floor tom. I set up the tom mics a couple of inches away from the rims. This way they are out of the way of the drummer sitting, and I can also capture the full frequency range of the tom. So we want to point the microphone straight towards the center of the drum because that's where he's going to be hitting it. And since we have a little bit of distance, we're going to capture its full entire sound. For the room mics, we have 3 large diaphragm condensers set up right now. We have 2 AKG 414s, and then as a mono room mic, which is kind of give us the middle, we have a Manley Ref Gold. Room mics are usually used to add depth to your tracks. Spacing of room mics kind of depends on which room you're in, so experiment and see what sounds best. We're gonna first solo just the drum kit by itself without the room mics, and then secondly, we're gonna show you guys how they sound once we put them in the mix. Thank you for watching this Guitar Center online workshop on microphone techniques. I hope you guys could take something out of this. Don't be afraid to experiment, feel inspired, and go out and do some music.